Now, let me give you an example of the joke that this entire event has become, and the joke that the liberal big media out there have become. Here's Forbes magazine, a contributor, Paul Roderick Gregory. Now, folks, much has been made of Warren Buffett's secretary, Debbie Bosanek. With all due respect, who gives a damn about Warren Buffett or his secretary? What does that have to do with anything? But since they have brought this to our attention, Paul Gregory in Forbes magazine says, well, I wonder what she makes. I wonder what this secretary earns, since now we've been asked to examine it. So he says, look, insofar as Warren Buffett, like Mitt Romney, earns income primarily from capital gains, which are taxed at 15%, and according to Obama need to be raised for reasons of fairness. And by the way, that affects you too. We need to determine how much income a taxpayer like Bosanek, the secretary, must earn in order to pay an average tax rate of about 15%. And he says this is easy to do. The IRS publishes detailed tax tables by income level. The latest results are for 2009. They show that taxpayers earning an adjusted gross income between $100,000 and $200,000 pay on average the rate of 12%. Okay, but she's paying 15%. He says this is below Buffett's rate. Excuse me. So she must earn more than $100,000 to $200,000. Taxpayers earning adjusted gross incomes of $200,000 to $500,000 pay an average tax rate of 19%. So he concludes Buffett must pay his secretary a salary above $200,000. Somewhere between $200,000 and $350,000, you would think. And so I have a question for Mr. Buffet, a.k.a. Buffett, now that he's dragged his secretary into the middle of this. What are you paying your secretary? Because she's being portrayed by the Obama administration, by the president. There she is at the State of the Union address, having a front row seat, because she's supposed to be like everyone else in the middle class, being ripped off by the rich, paying 15%, while Buffet pays 12%. We now know she's earning over $200,000, maybe close to $350,000. I don't begrudge it, but I want to know more, don't you? How about you buffoons in the media? Do you want to know more? Now that Obama and Buffet have put this secretary forward, will anybody dare ask? Warren Buffet, a.k.a. Buffett? I wonder if Buffett goes on the Stephen Colbert show. Is it Warren Buffet and Stephen Colbert? Or is it Stephen Colbert and Warren Buffet? Never mind. But in any event, that's my question. What did this poor little secretary, what does she earn working for a man that's worth $40 to $45 billion? Now that we know what her tax rate is, what's her income? They'll never tell us. Because my guess, just a guess, is she's in the top 1, 2, 3, 4% of income earners in the country, and that would just screw up the whole class warfare scenario, wouldn't it? Answer, yes, it would. Then we have Bill Gates. Bill Gates is worth $45 to $50 billion, and he's another one of these guys that keeps saying, I don't pay enough in taxes, I don't pay enough in taxes. This is truly bizarre. It's like saying, I don't take enough vitamin D, well, then take it. I don't pay enough in taxes, then pay them. So Bill Gates, and by the way, Bill Gates, when he was running Microsoft, was a vicious businessman. And that's okay. He would close the deal. He wanted to crush his opponents. He wanted as much money off of each unit of software as he possibly could. He took no enemies. God bless him. Now the bespectacled little geek travels the world saying, I didn't pay enough in taxes. He's lived his whole life fighting for every damn dime he can get so he can control what he does with his own money, and now he's running around saying he doesn't pay enough in taxes. I think, here's the Levin rule. They want to talk about the Buffett rule. Here's the Levin rule. I think every millionaire and billionaire who says they don't pay enough in taxes should pay a tax rate of 75%. What do you think of that, Mr. Producer? Then they'll pay enough in taxes. So the Levin rule going forward is this. If you stand up and you're a big doofus like B.J. Bill Jefferson Clinton, or you're a failed, pathetic president like Barack Hussein Obama, or if you're a left-wing billionaire know-it-all like Warren Buffett, the next time you say I don't pay enough in taxes, your tax rate should automatically be 75%. And you too, Mr. Gates. And here's Mr. Gates with the BBC. Cut 2, go.
Well, the United States has a huge budget deficit, so taxes are going to have to go up. And I certainly agree they should go up more on the rich than everyone else. That's just justice.
Stop. Well, what does this mean, the rich? Would Mr. Gates like to define the rich? Because they're people who run little businesses that make $251,000 a year, so they go beyond the threshold of what we today define a millionaire and billionaire. That would be somebody who's not a millionaire and billionaire. And then we have people like Gates who are multi-billionaires. They're worth tens of billions of dollars. And he's talking for the rich. So he's talking for the little dry cleaner on the corner, or the pizzeria restaurant, or the limousine service, where you have hard-working stiffs like all the rest of us who've come up from the bottom. Are they rich? And what if their taxes go up? They run a small restaurant or a dry cleaner or some small business in town. Their taxes go up and they have to lay somebody off. How do you like that, folks? Is that compassion? Nah, we've stuck it to the rich. No, you stuck it to a guy that earns $32,000 a year. We've had guys calling here. I used to have 5 trucks. Remember that guy? Now I have 1. I'm the mechanic. I'm the driver. I'm everything. He's had to lay off his truckers. He's had to close down he's had to stop the use of these other trucks. You want to get one more nickel out of them so the government can waste it? And that's the other point. Where's the morality in this? Massive deficit spending. Massive borrowing. So we're going to increase taxes on people we call millionaires and billionaires who are not millionaires and billionaires. And then what? Will that satisfy the Leviathan? Will it stop engorging itself? No. There's no end to it. Obama had a bunch of new spending programs last night, did he not? While he pretends he's going to balance the budget. And I'll tell you what's fascinating. Other people have commented on this already, but I noticed it too. Obamacare. The biggest disaster in modern American history. It is a sinkhole that will suck in our liberty and suck in our wealth into this massive abyss. Big government, bureaus, technocrats, experts pushing us around, telling us what to do when it comes to our own health and the health of our own family members, including our children. Barely said anything about it. Because you hate it. Because they impose this on you against your will. The last Congress, when they had a supermajority of Democrats, a temporary Congress, they imposed this on you against their will. And this president is blocking any effort to repeal it. And then we have Republicans. I played that clip yesterday of Norm Coleman, the former Republican from Minnesota, an official advisor to Romney, saying that they're not going to repeal Obamacare in whole. My good friend Marco Rubio, he is my good friend. I was the first national host to endorse him. He's in Florida saying Romney's a conservative. Romney went down there and campaigned for him. God bless him. And I love Marco Rubio. But I make my own decisions about who is and who is not a conservative. I would like somebody to explain to me how Romney Care has any conservative aspects to it whatsoever, how Norm Coleman's comments aren't reflective of what, in fact, a Romney administration would do, and why Marco Rubio, my dear friend, thinks that's evidence of conservatism. And I also believe the attacks on the Florida staff, campaign staff that has been used by Romney, who used to work for Christ, is not to compare Christ to Romney, but to question the judgment of the Romney people. Why would you hire Christ's people, given how slimy they were?